Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My father often reminded us of a powerful quote: "The heights by great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards through the night." This quote connects deeply with his own journey, one that began in a small primary school in Jamaica. I've seen firsthand how hard he works, whether it's at his desk in the evenings writing, creating content, or explaining complex ideas with clarity and passion. His fascination for technology began early, with something as simple as a ViewMaster in his childhood classroom. That moment sparked a lifelong love for innovation and learning. In fact, I still remember traveling with him in 2016 while he brought VR experiences to children in Jamaica. It was a heartwarming sight to see. He's always been a critical thinker, a timeless learner, and admittedly a bit obsessed with technology, sometimes to the point where we joked about selling his gadgets, and he would say, "No, they're all valuable." Through years of study and dedication, he's earned a doctorate and the respect of people around the world. He was talking about AI and addictive algorithms long before it was mainstream, and he continues to lead in this space today. With thousands of followers on YouTube, he produces content that blends artificial intelligence with culture, especially the rich heritage of the Caribbean. Today I'm proud to introduce not just my father, but my mentor, my role model. Yes, we've had our debates, sometimes intense, sometimes hilarious, but through it all, there's been mutual respect and love. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming the brilliant mind behind this work, Dr. Rohan Jowallah.
Thank you so much, Rohana. Good evening, everyone. I see everyone here as a friend, not just a friend, but also someone who has supported the work. Let me say that this session is not about a sales pitch. It's about an evening that we're going to think about critically some aspects that are affecting us. It's a call for action around these powerful terms that I'll use: artificial intelligence, pedagogy, and inclusion. I often ask myself to take me back to the place where I started. And I started back a long time ago. And my journey into AI started way before 2022. Some people were caught off guard, but I was using some elements of artificial intelligence a long time before. As a matter of fact, back in 2017, I was already immersed, of course, into aspect of artificial intelligence. I questioned the aspect of addictive algorithms. And as a matter of fact, one of my first videos I produced was actually on addictive algorithms. I was fascinated. How could a formula, a code, lead to such movement and addiction? But when I look further down, I want us to look at this picture that I have. It's a boy on a playing field in Jamaica in the 1970s. He's standing there, and over his shoulder is another and another boy. I was in the distance, looking at that shiny object, wondering what it was. But as I came closer, I realized that there was something in that hand. And I looked and I saw everyone that came out of that experience saying, "Wow, I only had 20 cents in my pocket." That was for my lunch to buy, of course, my rice and curried chicken. I'm going to say the chicken back, but the curried chicken. I gave away my money. I say gave away just to have a trial of that headset. But when I went in, I saw things that were unexplainable to me. I saw Spider-Man, Superman, and of course Hulk. They were all trying to save the world in the Caribbean, of course. But when I look back, it was a start of an emergence, a start of a system that I've never seen before, and I wanted more. From that day, I would find myself in places that would take me to look at opportunities, to look at video games, to go into arcade, to spend my money unnecessarily. But the Viewmaster was just a moment. It was a vision. The Viewmaster had transported me to beyond the realms of my physical world. And of course, by 2016, I was now in Jamaica after long decades of not having access to technology, sharing with this student. It was, of course, a device that you put your mobile phone in. And of course, we had a wonderful time. And when my daughter's phone was ready to be taken out, it got stuck in the headset. And you could see her annoyance. We are not going to leave your phone, I said to her. Eventually, we got it out of the device. So I want to say that today's world, we're moving at a rapid pace because by then we now have headsets that are built on. And when we look at it, we have to be worried. The technology is moving so fast that when we think about artificial intelligence, we're thinking about what's next. Why should we be worried? And as I journeyed the other day from Sweden, I decided to watch this movie called G20. It's a recent movie produced in 2025. And of course, we have a wonderful star in that movie. She's talking about what's happening, Viola Davis. But as I watched that movie, I realized that movie, although it came out this time, is somewhat aged based on the movement of artificial intelligence. If you have not watched that movie yet, I'd recommend you watch that movie because I'm not going to give all the story about the movie. In that movie, world leaders are held in captivity at a location, and all of them have to read a document to get their voices. So the voices can be superimposed, of course, within that. Yes, that is audio dubbing. So if you get someone in an audience moving and talking, you can actually put words to their mouth, into their mouths for them to articulate. Then we have a movement towards looking at the possibilities of that. So we have AI moving at a rapid pace where we can't even understand what is taking place. I see some people sharing content and they have no idea that the content has been AI generated. So the next one I want us to talk about as I move forward into making the connection with my book is this image. If you look carefully, you'll notice these little labels on my face. As a matter of fact, this was taken in, again, Sweden. There are 26 data points on my face, the man said. And of course, it has the possibility of taking the temperature of my skin. So if I were lying at any point, it could be detected. This is where we are going as it relates to artificial intelligence. This has serious implication not just for education, but for also surveillance, policing, and beyond. And when I say surveillance, the surveillance system can be a part of education systems too when we think about security. So we have to be cognizant of these things. And the third one I want to highlight is the weaponization of artificial intelligence, going beyond ethical boundaries. In this picture, you'll see this man, I'm not showing the weapon, he practically made an autonomous sentry gun weapon that could fire based on voice commands. The voice command was able to target someone and do what damage could have been done. Luckily, OpenAI fired him. Let me be clear, the potential of AI in education is extraordinary. It holds a promise to revolutionize how we teach, how we direct students' learning pathways and other areas. But to truly embrace it, we must confront and address the risk and the ethical concerns that are there. We cannot just let it rest. We must address it. Because if we don't, and I made this statement the other day at a conference, our very lives are at risk. And I made another statement. I just want to try to do my part to save humanity. And someone gave a little smile as being somewhat sarcastic. Yes, I'm trying to save my own life based on the addictive algorithms, rhythms, people not being educated on how to use artificial intelligence, or school systems not giving the appropriate guidance to students. So when they go out in the field, they do not know what is ethically correct to engage in or with. So it brings me to the point about the godfather of artificial intelligence. If you have not looked at this individual's work, it's time. And what he talks about is the benefit of artificial intelligence. It has the potential, of course, to revolutionize how we work, how we live, to cure diseases, and so forth. He goes on. But there's a peril, a grave peril in the system if it's not addressed. And of course, he worries that artificial intelligence may have surpassed human intelligence and capabilities. And of course, without transparency. Imagine creating something that knows more about you and you have no control about it or of it. That's where we are. Just imagine a system where someone creates a virus or a system or an educational encounter that has no meaning for productivity except to create havoc. He is worried also that based on what is going on, we can't undo the damage. But I'm strongly of the view that education will be a key component to limit these risks. We have to empower individuals to understand, to question, and to shape the development and deployment of artificial intelligence technologies. Too far and too often, we have allowed tech companies to, of course, set the agenda at our own peril. But I want to say that tonight, as of course, the founder of artificial intelligence speaks out, he should not be the only person. Everyone in this space, including myself, should be an individual here articulating for what they believe in. It's about making artificial intelligence inclusive, ethical, and accessible to all. And by doing this, we can all benefit. But we cannot benefit if we do not know and understand what artificial intelligence is. So it's a call. It's a call for educators. It's a call for social workers. It's a call for curriculum developers. It's a call for everyone to understand where AI is going. Yes, there's going to be displacement, but how do we move forward is going to be essential. So in this book, I explore how AI is already transforming the classroom, the curriculum, assessment, and how we can make an intentional action to ensure that, of course, it reduces inequality rather than magnifying inequality. Of course, we want to reduce inequality and magnify, of course, equality for all. This promise of AI is extraordinary, but there comes risk. And of course, I strongly believe that we must employ education at all aspects. We must not just be observers, we must be active shapers, of course, our AI future. Because if we don't, we'll limit our own survival. So I want to talk about the book. Writing the book took me on a journey. Here you can see the first image I have is how recent I have reflected on artificial intelligence. This image stands, of course, regarding behavior tracking, physical tracking, but it now extends towards a classroom, as I noted in Brazil last year when I visited. They had this Chinese company who had produced similar algorithm that can read facial expression at the detriment of students' data because they had no transparency in relation to the data. Here I am taking a picture by the wonderful person called Pablo Ferreri, who I think his constructs as it relates to literacy, critical literacy, can be aligned, of course, with artificial intelligence. From his position, you would have to say why the artificial intelligence is being produced, what's the purpose, who are the intended target, and of course, manipulation. He talks about reading the word and the world, reading the algorithm and how it is going to be employed in society. That's how I would interpret that. It took me on a journey to Jamaica. It took me on a journey to Paris. It took me on a journey where I reflected on many things. But as I stated before, my book confronts critical questions about AI. This is just not a book about reflection. It's about how AI is going to shape the future, our role, how AI is going to prepare students for jobs that don't exist, how government and local authorities must position their AI policies, and how we should, of course, ensure that ethics is there to guide the deployment and, of course, development of artificial intelligence in our school and education system. So Before I take questions, I want to say that I took a journey where I did 17 chapters. Some of the chapters have dominant thoughts coming through. For example, personalized learning is very dominant in the first three chapters. But I look also at how AI is navigating the intersection between artificial intelligence, pedagogy, and inclusion, what it means, defining some key terms, understanding where it's going. And then I look at AI in the modern education system, how it's going to be deployed over a period of time, and the role that educators will play in that. In chapter three, I looked at the pedagogical shift within AI, what needs to be done, how pedagogy will change drastically as we ensure that students are engaged, not just going through AI systems, but having meaningful engagement with AI, purposeful thought with AI, and of course, teachers designing assignment within this pedagogical shift. Then I'm not going to give you all an overview of all of them, but I want to talk about the next one. I'm talking about leverage AI in inclusive educational practice and curriculum design. And all these chapters really allow you as an educator or stakeholder in education to really think about where you are as it relates to artificial intelligence. It brings across case studies. For example, I talk about my barber. I'm sitting with my barber and he's cutting my hair. Please don't look at my hair. You might say, why was I cutting my hair? But I was cutting my hair still. And I sat down and I guess his job was easy, right? He could just knock my hair off in a few seconds. But I was sitting there and he's called Vega. We're having this wonderful conversation about family and everything. And Vega comes to me and said, he won't see me next week. Because actually, I do cut my hair every week when I'm in the mood. You wonder what I'm cutting again. But I said, why? He said to me, I'm going to learn to drive a truck. I said, all right. So what are your intentions? He said, I just wanted to do something that would be beneficial to my family. And I'm sitting there and I said, should I tell him or should I not? And I said, no, I can't spoil the moment. But in the back of my thought, I knew that somewhere down the line, Vega might not be in a position to really have that job in another 10 years. He's younger than I am because automation is taking over. So, how do I tell him? I tell him at some point, no. I think over a period of time, you'll have to make the adjustments. These are stories that I make connections to. I'm sitting down and telling people that if you're in education, you have to really think about being flexible in the era of AI and how we go forward. So when I look at what was out there, I thought it important to articulate my points regarding artificial intelligence because AI, pedagogy, and inclusion is important. And if you notice, I've not ran away from the word inclusion. Doctorate in language and literacy, and I have a master's in special needs and inclusion. While many have ran away from the word, I'll never do that because that's not my ideology. I'm very strong as it relates to equality for all and not some. So this book takes you down on a journey where I explore some of the key elements. And at this point, I'm going to stop because I want you to ask me some questions. And of course, let me say that it's going to be available on Amazon at some point. It's available for pre-order now, but the main thought about it is that we are all in it to ensure that we can navigate this space in a meaningful way to ensure that everyone is included within artificial intelligence, within strong teaching and learning perspectives. I'm open to questions. Please, any question could be related to the book or a general thought. I am open.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jowallah, for that amazing presentation. We have a couple of questions that were asked from individuals that couldn't be here tonight.